皆さん、こんにちは。JPNIC トークラウンジへようこそ。JPNIC トークラウンジは、インターネットとその未来について、第一人者にお話を伺う対談シリーズです。今回のゲストは、APNIC 事務局長のポール・ウィルソンさんです。ウィルソンさんは1998年に着任なさって以来、23年間、APNIC の事務局長、英語で言うとディレクター・ジェネラルというのが正式名称で、JPNIC では事務局長と訳出しております。会社の社長、CEO のポジションなんですが、こちらを務めていらっしゃっています。今回の対話は、実は、和訳字幕を施すために事前に、収録しています。ご質問はチャットウィンドウに書き込んでいただければ、収録部分の終了後に私が分かる範囲のものをお答えして、分からないものに関してはご本人にお問い合わせをして、アーカイブ公開の時にはご回答できるようにしたいと思っております。ウィルソンさんとは、私は2000年から2016年まで APNIC の理事を務めていまして、その間ずっと一緒に仕事をしてきたわけなんですけども、その最中にもなかなか聞けなかった話がいろいろありました。APNIC 以前のお話も伺いましたし、APNIC のここまでの歩み、また今後に関しても語っていただきました。というわけで、今回サブタイトルをレジストリーのあり方と未来というふうにしてあります。ウィルソンさんの思いがたっぷりと伺えますので、ぜひともお楽しみいただければと思います。それではどうぞ。
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This is the JPNIC Talk Lounge. For me to invite a lot of internet frontier to have a conversation with them. So today's guest is Mr. Paul Wilson, the Director General of APNIC, Asia Pacific Network Information Center. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining us.
My pleasure, Akinori. Thanks for having me.
So is the winter in Australia?
It's very blue skies, and it might be about 25 degrees outside. So this is our winter. It's terrible.
Right. Thank you for joining us. So let's start the talk today. First, I think. All right. We have the biography of yours projected in a Zoom room, and then I'd like to talk about your pre-APNIC days. Are you ready for that?
Sure, of course.
All right. Then this is actually excerpted from the bio of the APNIC staff and the APNIC EC members. And then it is actually really impressive that you worked for the Pegasus network, which is the very first Australian ISP, as the technical director and then also the CEO. So you started that in the 1989, which is a quite early day of the internet. So and it is just after your graduation of university, isn't it?
No, I graduated in 81. So
okay.
I went into computer science. I graduated in 1984. I went into computer science between 82 and 84. And I came out of my course and went into a job with the University Computer Center. So I was an analyst programmer, and then a distributed systems engineer for a few years at the what was called the Prentice Computer Center at University of Queensland.
Oh yeah.
And so I spent a few years there, and then a couple more years doing kind of miscellaneous consulting work. And Pegasus came after that. Pegasus, I should say, was the brainchild of a guy called Ian Peter, who's still around these days, and he started it in 1989. I joined very soon after as the technical director. Left a very stable job. Took a risk to join Pegasus at that time, which was sort of a tiny startup in a very strange industry.
You took the risk for that.
Yeah, I did.
So you were doing then another impressive thing is you were involved in the establishment of the APC at the same time with the Pegasus.
Well, that was something that Pegasus helped to start, I guess, as a founding member. The reason Pegasus started was actually a sort of passion to exchange with networks and network users around the world. And it was kind of a community network, so it brought together a bunch of different international networks and with special gateways to different sort of application-based services and UUCP and FidoNet and so forth. But some of the other networks that were joining together decided to put together something called APC, the Association for Progressive Communications, and that was in 1990, 91. Again, Ian Peter was the first of our delegates to the APC, but I joined and
oh, really?
Did that up. Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's a kind of the same passion for you to somehow expanding the internet and getting the many people connected throughout the internet infrastructure and the networking of the human for the APC kind of the civil society job.
Definitely. It was definitely we didn't use the term then, but civil society was the main target for these networks to bring people together who were doing all sorts of work on different things. It wasn't so much business as civil society motivations and priorities. One of the early projects that was absolutely fascinating was the APC providing services in 1992 to the first of the multi-stakeholder UN summits, which was the Earth Summit, the Conference on Environment and Development.
Awesome.
So that happened in Brazil, in Rio, and I spent 5 weeks there working on the network and helping to get them connected with their first 56 kilobit international link between the Brazilian partner and the rest of the internet. We were training people in how to use email and getting people connected at the different sites, the NGO and the official conference site for the UN conference. So that was a good example, I guess, of how APC even back then was really sort of pushing back the barriers, really sort of forging something new in bringing people online.
Right. Then, so did you expect or anticipate that the internet would be this kind of the network for the everyone, or a network for the business or the commerce?
I was dubious until the mid-90s because it was in the mid-90s that the web took off. So it took a little while after we started providing PPP, TCP/IP access to our clients in about 93. But a couple of years later, it was taking off, and I could see that technology was the one that was bringing access. But there were other people more visionary, even in the earlier days when it was so difficult to use text-based interfaces and dial-up terminal devices that people used to use. I remember Ian telling me in about 1990 that there'd be 1 million Australians online by the end of the decade. And I was kind of dubious about that, but he was actually just about exactly correct. That's where it was by that time.
So that's Ian's quite foresight.
Definitely.
That was great. And then you were involved also within the UN development programs and PAN of the IDRC. Is it a same passion or motivation, or a little bit different one?
Oh, I think very similar. IDRC was really groundbreaking then on ICT. They were the International Development Research Centre of Canada. They supported research and library networking and technology for information knowledge exchange. And they were quite visionary. So even by the time the UN summit had started, where the technology was starting to be recognised there, they had a study that was being done around the Asia Pacific on what kinds of community networks, what kinds of grassroots networking technologies were available and what was being used.
Okay.
And Pegasus came in on that, a guy called Andrew Garton and myself, Andrew leading the way on a really comprehensive study around the region of grassroots networking. But it was followed by PAN, which I helped to the Pan Asia Networking Program, which IDRC asked me to help to design that program and then to help with a few projects under there, like for instance, information services and online services in Nepal, first ISP in Mongolia, the first independent ISP in genuine ISP in Vietnam and Cambodia. I mean, quite early, 1993, 94, those years. And IDRC was all about, they were a very grassroots organization. So they were always working with the end, the people who were really, they were trying to benefit, the people who were trying, who they could see an opportunity and a need for this kind of new way of networking, new way of interacting and working together. And it was definitely what we were doing at Pegasus. I can say, I think that at Pegasus we were always much more oriented towards helping people than to the business itself. So it was a mixed fortune, I think.
Wow, it's quite, that what you are telling me is quite of the real, a goodwill and then a strong will for you to develop the society and the network in to the next stage, and then you did that. That's amazing.
It could be so inspirational, like sort of working with the people who were working even way back in those days. There's a guy called Obed Fazola from the Philippines who unfortunately died a few years ago. Norbert Klein in Cambodia, who's still with us.
Norbert Klein, yeah.
I mean, there were those early community pioneers who were doing this stuff as early as anyone around the world, actually.
Right. Thank you very much. It is time to time. Yes, this is I know you since 1998, so it's quite a while, 20 something years friendship. Thank you very much for that. And then we haven't had such time to discuss the predated life of ours. Then it is quite good opportunity for me to learn your pre-APNIC days. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And you had a call for nomination for the APNIC Director General position.
Yeah, well, it was a really fascinating thing because APNIC came to me. I've always lived in Brisbane. I was born and raised here, and so I was aware. I mean, we had been an APNIC member, of course, received addresses both from John Postel and then from APNIC. And I was aware of APNIC's movement, but I was sort of tied up at the time because I was a father for the first time and had a young child, and I was aware of APNIC sort of moving about during that time. It was actually in that year, 1998, that APNIC moved to Brisbane. And I decided it seemed like an incredible opportunity because it matched really well both with my sort of professional experience and also my interests and my location too. It was quite a fortuitous thing. So I don't think APNIC expected to find a local to employ as Director General either, but it seemed to work.
Yeah, at the time APNIC was located in Tokyo with a wide project premise, and quite near in the Olympic Village this time in the Tokyo Olympic. So that's where the APNIC was located before the move to Brisbane. But after it was located within JPNIC, but the JPNIC was located at the time in within the University Tokyo campus. So it's like a history. So how do you I say. Oh, but by the way, I like that story. I think that you had a dream of the constellation of addresses, and it is something. What's that?
Oh yeah, it was either a dream or a nightmare. But it was when I was back in Pegasus days, and I was doing the first configuration of our IP setup.
Yeah.
This was on a dial-up connection that was nailed up, as we say, of 9600 bits per second.
Yeah.
As our first connection to into ARNet, the Academic Research Network. And we say that Pegasus was the first ISP, and that it was the first independent ISP to start in the Australian community. But of course, ARNet was there, and so we took our connection from ARNet rather than internationally. But yeah, I was struggling with the way back in computer science. I used to have dreams about computer programming problems, frustrating dreams about getting things done. But the dream about the internet configuration was literally a constellation of IP addresses that were swirling around me like a swarm of mosquitoes and buzzing. And they were pinging me. They were sort of biting me.
Is it? Yeah, I thought it would have been inspired. It inspired you to join the APNIC or something, but maybe different.
It was during the APNIC days, but I never remembered what the actual addresses were, but they were IP addresses flying around and spinning in 3 dimensions. It was quite interesting.
So then you enrolled to the DG position at the time. Is that the big determination of yours?
Look, I was very excited when I was offered the position. I really think, and I guess those who interviewed me agreed that it seemed to match what my interests and my experience had been. It was the hands-on internet engineering, the hands-on technical assistance in Asia, and a sort of motivation towards the technology itself. I think I was never obsessed with technology, but I always had a real interest in the balance of technology and humanity, and I guess and governance in a way. And how is technology actually adopted and disseminated, and how can it be best used? So it's governance, internet governance, for instance. But the constant balance at APNIC between the technical components, which can never be forgotten. I mean, we're a technical organization, and we rely on, we've got to promote the importance of the actual real life the running code of the internet.
Right.
But we cannot do that without also giving equal time, or at least genuine priority to the governance and the governing the human side of the technology and its adoption and its dissemination and development. So it's always a balance. You can never choose one over the other, and you can never do one at the expense of the other.
Right. So with your leadership, APNIC has quite grown up. I remember when I joined the APNIC Executive Council in 2000, the APNIC had maybe 2 handfuls of staff at the time. And then now APNIC counts up to 75 or something.
It's more like 100 actually.
Wow, more like 100. So it's a quite growth. And then what do you suggest as the most impressive moments throughout your more than 25 years with the APNIC?
Wow. I don't think I can isolate any single moments. I think this period, the last 20 years, has been a long series of incredible moments of just development after development of the technology and the governance in the community, and it's really been a fascinating and kind of addictive process to see what is happening, what will happen next. My time at APNIC was predated by Apricot. So APNIC helped to found, or was a founder of Apricot, and there were two Apricot conferences, 97 and 98, before I joined. Coming into APNIC at that time was really fascinating, in seeing that community was coming together so actively, with some really brilliant and dedicated individuals who I got to meet and then to work with for years, and people like Jukarai and Sing Lee and Professor Kanchana and Philip Smith and many more. You know, we had the formation of NIRs at that time, and seeing the huge role that they played, and particularly JPNIC in Japan as a member of the governance backbone. You know, the backbone of the way the internet has grown and worked in Japan. Very soon after I started, there was the International Forum on the White Paper, which was the pre-ICANN. So I got to meet John Postel just once in person during that time, just before ICANN started, and it was a huge shock. I couldn't believe that he passed away. Just at that time, I'd looked. I mean, it's kind of selfish, but I looked forward so much to working more with him and around him, and then that happened. But it was part of, again, a fascinating, utterly fascinating time, seeing ICANN develop out of that, and then we had new RIRs joining with LACNIC and AFNIC. And really, many really incredible experiences.
New RIRs, and then forming the ASO. I was also the part of that discussion, and it is quite crafting the mechanism for the number of resource management for the global internet. So that's definitely the full of impressions. Yes, thank you very much. Do you have any idea for the biggest things which changed the APNIC's business?
Well, I think sustainability has been important, and there were a few moments, a few times early on, where it seemed that APNIC was really not really in a position to sustain itself with all of the challenges ahead. But I mean, we're lucky in having, I think, a community that has been happy, and I feel genuinely happy to support APNIC over many years to do what we need to do. I always sympathised, for instance, with the founding CEO at AFNIC, Adiel Aklogan, who had this enormous task, a region as large as APNIC's and as complex as APNIC's, but with resource constraints that we luckily didn't face. And I have to thank the sort of old timers and including the NIRs around APNIC for continuing to support its solidity over the times, because I think it just needed to be a mature organisation that took responsibility for itself, and towards the work that we had to do. And I think the success of the internet is only the success of APNIC is only the success of the internet itself and the success of the model. And I always think back to the times before the RIRs were formed, where, I mean, there was an internet press at the time in the early 1990s, and the internet press at the time sort of said that the internet was going to run out of addresses and it would stop growing. The internet would have to stop growing before the end of the 1990s, and that was about in 1990 timeframe. And then it was within the next couple of years that the IETF proposed and started the RIR system. And also classless addressing, of course.
Right.
But we went from a huge rate of address consumption before the RIRs were established to a rate of address consumption that was able to meet the internet's needs still, and support the internet with huge growth over the next 2 decades. And we still unfortunately have been amply or able apparently to keep using IPv4. IPv6 is coming along, but it's amazing how long IPv4 has lasted.
For 20 years. Yes, we hadn't expected this long, by the way.
No, but the success of that RIR system in terms of regularizing and opening and making accessible the address allocation process was really, I think, a huge achievement.
Yeah,
collectively.
Yeah, thank you very much. And another biggest thing in the recent years was the IANA transition. It's 2016, and we have already spent 5 years in the post-transition. Well, do you have any thoughts, impression?
I guess maybe the IANA transition is a bit like the IPv6 transition. It works best when it makes really no difference to anyone, and in practical terms, nothing has changed for better or for worse as a result of the IANA transition. What it has allowed is for ICANN and the framework around ICANN to continue in the way that it was originally intended to do. It required a huge collective gesture of trust and self-trust and organization and sort of collective governance to make it happen.
Right.
But it had exactly the right effect, which was to make for no disaster, but no, no miracle improvement, because in fact the only way it could have succeeded is, in fact, if ICANN was on the right path and doing the right things in the first place. But what it did is, in a less practical sense, it took away this huge perceived question mark or uncertainty or risk over the singular stewardship by the US government. So that was very positive to be able to demonstrate that now that there is no single point of stewardship and ICANN is on its own, so to speak, within the community, that it continues to operate and run in a way that's accountable and properly organized.
Yeah,
so
that's
that ICANN's perfect, of course, but nor is APNIC for that matter. And the whole point is to be able to adapt and to change according to the needs of the community and the multi-stakeholder environment we work in.
Yeah, that's a quite quite an event for me as well. That the internet resource management has been under the stewardship by the contract with the U.S. government, and then it is somehow some stable situation for the early internet, and then we were working on the post-transition mechanism in the 2015 and the 2016. But then it's I was wondering if this new proposed scheme would work properly or not. I had no idea, but after the IANA was transitioned, it is quite normal course. That's a quite normal course of the self-governance, with the provider will be overseen by the demand side people with against the SLA. It's quite a simple and straightforward mechanism, but we didn't have any idea if it were so good or not. So that's another proof of the internet communities, the governance scheme. So it was the great success of ours, I think.
Very proud of the role that the RIRs played, actually, the NRO, the Number Resource Organization, in that process, because although not involved directly in the ICANN community as stakeholders in the main business of DNS, which is ICANN's main obsession, I might say, we were part of a community and a group of organizations that met in Montevideo in Uruguay in 2013, and had this meeting that produced the Montevideo Statement, which was a call for action, because it was actually not even an ICANN issue, but it was the issue of the Snowden revelations and related historical demands for ICANN's independence that we felt it was just becoming critical that the plan be activated, the original plan for ICANN to be independent, that should be activated by the US government. So we issued this Montevideo statement. It was actually the NRO EC that supported that very strongly. I mean, I personally felt a strong need for a product out of these meetings that coming together and meeting and is maybe a good thing in itself, but unless we can tell the community and expose and open to the community the product of the meetings and show some result. So in fact, the need for a statement was something that I think maybe not alone from the NRO, but we were very strong on the need for a statement at that time. We went to the ISTAR meeting with that proposal for something that turned into the Montevideo statement.
That was I was there as the APNIC EC's observer to the NRO EC, and then it was quite a fortune for me to be part of that discussion. And then I remember that the Montevideo statement was first. Maybe you drafted that statement and shared that with the members of the ISTAR, the leaders. So that's your product, right?
Maybe.
All right.
I used to get the drafting pen quite often for various documents, but they're always a joint effort. And that one was interesting because it required a lot of massage. The interesting thing about our community is the diversity, the really fundamental, the deep diversity of difference in culture between different organizations, even between the RIRs, between the RIRs and the IETF and Internet Society and others. I mean, we've got a fantastically diverse community in the way that the governance itself actually works. And I think that's a feature, not a bug. In producing results.
I can only agree on it. So thank you very much for that. So it's all about the past, and then all about the path we come from. Then let's talk about the future. Do you have any particular hope or on the other hand, the concerns on the future of the APNIC or future of the internet? What make you worry, or what make you expect something?
Well, about APNIC, there's been for many years a sort of perception that the work of the RIRs will disappear with the full adoption of IPv6.
Yes.
And so, in a sense, I mean, the full adoption of IPv6 is still some time away, and we've actually got plenty of work to do in managing and carefully managing and helping to manage the remaining IPv4 pool. It's still, of course, in active use and tracking registrations and transfers and maintaining the registration of that along with the new security services, PKI, and its applications like ROV. I mean, there's a lot to do, but I still think I mean, a number of transactions involved with IPv6 registration is going to be less, but the internet, until something different is invented, the internet is going to rely on a publicly accessible shared commons of IP addresses, and if those addresses are IPv6, then the registry function is as important for IPv6 as it has been for IPv4. And the internet, if we assume it's going to keep growing and it's going to become yet more orders of magnitude larger, it's hard to see a registry function not also growing. But I am happy that the relative overhead of the registry function across the RIRs at least is definitely decreasing as compared with the total value of the internet. In fact, the overheads represented by the RIR system are pretty tiny when you consider the size of the internet and the stake that we all have in it. So I don't think the RIRs are going anywhere, but you know, that's really in the hands of the community and the internet. as for where the internet is going, I've never pretended to be a futurist, and so I doubted the forecast of 1 million internet users in Australia by 2000, but it came out to be quite true.
Yeah.
I just can't see where the development of the internet, as we see it today, could possibly stop. There's not only the scale of bringing so many more human beings online, but the moves into the so-called Internet of Things, of course, has got such a vast potential that it'll absolutely go on and on. I think the fears are and I'm not alone in this by any means. The fears are about consolidation and the fact that the internet got to where it is today with this sort of really vigorous competition happening between providers of services at all levels, and even at the standards level, you had different standards competing. You have different implementations. You've got different services based on those standards, and the competition, the diversity and competition, the freedom of choice amongst at all levels has been absolutely important, and I think that in many ways is reducing, and a continual reduction in competitional diversity is not something to look forward to.
Right, but at the same time, this is a quite natural trend in terms of the economics says, right? The competition could be converged into quite a small number of the competitors. Then it is actually the way how the internet is evolved until now. So it is quite maybe we are coming to the next stage of such evolution. So economic law is not really helping the advancing the internet. So it is quite a change of the era, or
a change in scale and also in balance. The openness of the internet and the ability of any users and any stakeholders to be able to come online and to innovate and to be able to compete is sort of in question at the moment, I think, because of the dominance of a really small number of platforms that in themselves are not open. They don't provide open opportunities for innovation. They only provide opportunities for kind of use. And they might claim that there's all sorts of innovation happening in business and commerce and so forth. But I'm still more interested in the technology itself, in the new services and new technologies, rather than simply new sort of applications of commercial activities like shopping and so forth.
Quite like you. We are having that difficulty and the downside of the internet evolution. For example, fake news and then security threat. So it is all they are also expanding. And then do you have any good idea for us to mitigate or address them, and then to maintain the sound internet and the internet society on the internet? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think only in providing alternatives, only in providing in maintaining the openness to provide alternatives. So it always seemed to be an assumption back in the earlier days that access to information and ability to publish information was going to be critical and kind of and was going to be a savior, a panacea for problems of the world, and yet we've sort of used that freedom to create kind of trashed commonses, if you like, where the signal to noise ratio has gone away, has plummeted so dramatically that really the utility of the service for general purposes disappears, and become something that's a uni-purpose, and often these days a commercially oriented or advertising oriented or consumer oriented space. Now, if we have enough competition where, as you know, one given sort of part of the internet becomes overtaken by something that doesn't suit, you know, it may suit a majority, but it may not suit a very significant minority of users, then it should be possible for that for a critical mass to be met and for alternatives to be found. And you could always say that is possible now, but and it is possible, but there are anti-competitive factors, I think, at play that make it less likely that viable alternative services can actually get up and running. But then again, Facebook has been around for 10 years, and prior to Facebook, we might have been having the same conversation, and then we saw something come along that has overtaken the world.
Right.
And that might have been surprising if we went back 9 years to see what Facebook looked like back then.
Yeah.
So the next iterations may be coming along, but if the balance is shifted such that the next iterations are too difficult to establish, then that I think is where governance comes in, and where a market that's lost its competitive its features of competitive openness has emerged. Then really that's a regulatory issue, and the internet's not the first one that's faced the first industry that's faced that.
Right.
And it won't be the last, but I think it probably is one these days of those industries that needs attention. But then, you know, as we all know, it's getting plenty of attention.
Right.
So
thank you very much. Maybe not only the technical committee like us, but the governments and then the huge global companies are now in the next stage to evaluate themselves to have another balance and another mechanism to maintain the society on the internet sound and healthy. So that maybe we are the part of that. And we need to work on that, maybe. Yeah. Do you have we were talking a really big theme, but more compact theme. Do you have any near future plan with APNIC?
Near future plans. Well, APNIC is just this year has come into established a new thing in partnership with WIDE Project, which of course
yes
I'm sure you know about, which is the Asia Pacific Internet Development Trust. So we formed something called the APNIC Foundation a few years ago, which is the idea of which is to raise resources, partnerships, funding to expand the APNIC development activities beyond what our members really should need to support. So APNIC members have supported a lot of internet development over the years, but then we always found that there was a lot more needed. So the question is how do we do that? The APNIC Foundation was established as a means to do that, and has been fairly successful. But it was with the establishment of the APNIC Foundation, I think it's modest success in the first few years. First couple of years that this next opportunity came up with WIDE Project to establish a trust that would create a more constant revenue stream exactly towards the same aim. So in a sense, the APNIC Foundation is a recipient will be a recipient of additional resources and funding from that trust, along with other projects as well. But that will also, I mean, the APNIC Foundation is under APNIC, and it's something that serves, it absolutely is designed and intended and will serve the interests of the APNIC community and membership. So we do have more work to do, and we seem to be constantly asked for more. We've got another survey coming up in the next year, and we'll be finding out again what the next plans are that the members expect from APNIC. From my perspective, I've never seen it as my job to to say where APNIC is going, except to the extent that I understand where it should go according to the needs of the members and the sort of opportunities to fulfill those needs.
Okay. Yeah.
When we hear more from the members, we'll plan more for the future.
Uh-huh.
I feel very positive and very honoured really to have received the support to be able to establish the Internet Development Trust. And so that's with thanks to Wide Project, and we've got a fantastic partnership and very exciting future, I think.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, the time is not infinite, and then we are now coming to the closing part. Thank you very much, Paul, for the fantastic talk, and then this I really enjoyed. You know, we haven't met in person for almost 2 years, and it was incredible. And then we definitely need to meet again, of course, in the future. Do you have any development in your private life? What is your personal boom under the COVID-19 restrictions?
Oh, really? It's changed a lot. I don't miss planes, but I do miss people.
Yeah,
definitely miss people and colleagues, and the opportunity for the kind of interactions that you must be missing as well.
Yeah.
But I've also got a much better work-life balance these days. You must know yourself, Akinori, when you travel a lot, you've actually got sort of two homes to come back to. You've got the home, which is your workplace, which you really need to spend time at, and so there's a sort of balance between travel and your work at the home office, and then you've also got your actual home. And so I think I'm enjoying spending more time at both homes, both the APNIC home and my own home. I think I've been traveling so long, I really underestimated the toll that it had taken for many years on energy and time. I've got more time. I'm pursuing a few personal projects and riding motorcycles and
you are now riding the motorcycle. That was new to me.
That's right. Yeah. Along with many others of my age, I have to say, at least in this country. Seems to be a bit of a trend. But, also, I'm propagating trees, which I plant at my place in the bush, and this sort of thing.
You now you have more time for taking care of your land and mountain. Then that would be great for you as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's a good part too. And working from home or working from the countryside is okay as well.
You're right. You know, we are having the much better work-life balance, and then actually it was good for me as well. And then one hand, I expect very much about meeting people again in person in near future, but I am a little bit worried about how to be back into that kind of the busy life again. So it is good and bad for the post-COVID society.
Well, you can't bring your bicycle with you, and riding.
Yeah, next travel will be with my bicycle. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and do you have any plan to come back to Japan?
Japan is the first place on my list. I want to visit the next time I exit Australia. I really love Japan. I don't feel I've touched the surface to properly know Japan at all, even after many trips. But that's one of the reasons why I'd really love to come back. And it's first on my list to come back, to see people, to visit. Wide project. Maybe find some time for visit the mountains too, and if it's winter time.
Yeah.
And
And
yourself
then
and JPNIC too, of course.
Yeah. You need to be back in the Nozawa Onsen for your favorite site for skiing and the hot spring.
That would be fantastic.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining the JPNIC Talk Lounge. Please say hi to all of your family member and then the APNIC staff and all friends around you. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'll pass it on, and thank you very much, Akinori. It's been really enjoyable and an honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
というわけで、皆さんにお送りしてまいりましたポール・ウィルソンさんとの、対談ということでいかがだったでしょうか。とても長年お付き合いがあるんですけども、なかなかこういうですねスケールが大きい話を伺う機会もそんなにはないんじゃないですかねと思いますし、プライベートの話もですね、感染症化になった後のお話なんかも印象深かったというふうに思います。チャットウィンドウでいただいた、ご質問に、お答えしていきたいと思っておりますが、今のところまだ質問を寄せていただいてないようです。もしあれば1つでも2つでもご紹介したいと思っております。で、Zoom の登録に際してですね、ご質問いただいておるのを1件ご紹介させていただきたいと思います。三木絹子さんから、インターネットに注ぐ、熱い思いの原点や今や昔の原動力を伺ってみたいですということで、ご質問をいただいているんですけども、こちらに関してはですね、おそらくは十分に答えて、られているポールの、お話だったんじゃないかと思います。大丈夫でしょうかね。よろしくお願いします。そういうふうに感じていただけたら、嬉しいと思います。ご質問、いただいております。青木さん、から、SJ の青木です。貴重なお話をありがとうございます。APNIC 財団ですが、どのように誰から資金を集め、具体的にどのような活動をされているんでしょうかというふうなことで、私が分かる範囲でお答えいたしますと、ファンデーションを作ってですね、まず今一番大きな収入源というのは、お話があった通り APIDT ワイドプロジェクトとのコラボ、パートナーシップでやっている財団ですね。こちら、からの、レベニューというのが大きいと思います。それ以外にでも APNIC ファンデーションがいろんなですね他のチャリティーの財団に、プロポーズして提案をして、それで資金をゲットするというようなパターンもあります。それで主にですねAPNIC の、活動の中の、かなり大きな部分をですね、ディベロップメントというふうに言いますけども、能力開発、といったところに当てておりまして、メインの活動はそういったところですね、発展途上国における、能力開発といった、アクティビティに使われているというふうに思っております。あと一つぐらい、伺いましょうかね。もし出てきたら伺いたいと思います。よろしいでしょうかね。よろしければ、この辺にさせていただければというふうに思います。皆さんご視聴いただきましてありがとうございました。最後になりますけども、アンケートのお願いでございます。今、チャットウィンドウにも出てこようとしていると思いますけれども、画面を閉じたときにアンケートの URL が出てまいります。今後のトークラウンジの制作に生かしてまいりたいと思いますので、ぜひご協力をお願いいたします。今、チャットウィンドウの方に出てまいりました。こちらの方でどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それでは、JPNIC トークラウンジ第3回、ポール・ウィルソンさんとお届けいたしました。これにてお開きとさせていただきたいと思います。ご視聴ありがとうございました。